Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Jamie Pollock. My company is RoyalWise. You can always find us online at royalwise.com. Today is our Safari Get Organized class, and so we're going to be talking about Apple's Safari application, which is their web browser. We talk about web browsing. We're just talking about being able to get out on the internet and go to websites and visit different websites. This would be comparable to, say, Firefox and or Google's Chrome web browser. A couple other web browsers out there. I know there's the Brave web browser, a couple different ones going out there, but we're going to be talking about Safari today, and we're going to be going over a lot of great features that Safari gives you. Basic navigation of the application. Definitely we're going to be talking about bookmarks and how to save bookmarks either to the bookmark menu or the favorites area. We're going to be looking at reading lists and stuff like that. The new start page is kind of new to some folks. They're used to just starting at Google, and so we're going to talk a little bit about Google searching or just web searching in general. But we're going to look at that new start page, which is really fun. You can customize it and change the stuff in the background and all that kind of stuff. And of course, tabs. And of course, my favorite thing is iCloud tabs. Man, I just love that so much. And then downloads and preferences. And so we got a lot of great stuff to cover. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So I'm going to basically just open up Safari. And if you have it down on your dock, especially if you're in the new Big Sur, it looks like a little compass. It's a blue circle with a red and white compass arrows on it. And now it's a rounded rectangle where it used to be a circle. And so I've opened up a Safari window. And now we're ready to get to know the interface and figure out how to get on the web. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what's called the Omnibar, and that's up here at the very top where it says search or enter a website name. This is our first place to start when we want to get on the internet. And so if we just click up there, we're going to see our cursor show up, and this is where we can, one, type in search terms, or two, type in a website name. So if I come here and I type in royalwise.com, I'm going to hit my enter key, my return key, and it's just going to take me to that website. Now, a lot of people get a little confused, especially when I'm talking to them over the phone or the remote support we've been doing all of quarantine. Quite often, people will have Google as their main page or the what's called the home page, what starts, and then I'll say, hey, type this in, and they'll come down here into the search field and type in something like, let's say royalwife.com. and search for it. Well, at this point, I'm in a Google results area, right? I'm not actually on the website. And so at this point, I'd have to click down here to actually get to the website. And so this is called a web link. And you'll notice when my cursor is on it, it turns into that little finger symbol, meaning I can click on it. That's a link. And if I'm not on it, I have my little arrow like I'm used to for pointing and clicking and dragging and all that kind of stuff. So if we want to use Google, that's totally fine. And then we can come in here and type that stuff in. Okay, and then click on here to get to the website. But what I want to make sure people know is that clicking up here in what's called the Omnibar is going to be a quicker and faster way for you to get where you want to. So if I come up here and just type in apple.com, I'm going directly to that website, right? I'm not searching for it and then having to go through Google results and or other search engine results and then get to the website. So just know the Omnibar is available for you for both of those things, for putting in an actual website name and or a search term. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick search for dog show. And one of the distinctions on what just happened is that if there is a space inside of what I'm searching for, what I type in the Omnibar, a space means that it's going to be search terms and not a website name, right? And also the other thing that signifies a website is .com at the end or .net at the end or .org at the end, right? And so if I just type in Apple and hit a space, I'm actually searching for the word Apple. But then if I put that .com on the end of it, I'm not going to get search results. I'm actually going to go to the website. So a little bit of a distinction there. I just want to make sure that that's clear because I know a lot of people kind of get confused with that. So anything ending in .com, .net, .edu, and there's a whole bunch of new ones. These are called the domain extensions. And just so know that on the what's called a URL, and that basically means website, website name. And it's actually Universal Resource Locator, in case anybody wants to geek out on what URL stands for. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is with the not the first thing, but the one thing we want to talk about with the Omnibar is if I type in a website, I know it's going to take me there. But if I type in search terms, and then I get results, you notice right at the very top when I was typing that in, it says next to it, search Google. Oop, went away. Let me get that back up there. There we go. And you notice right next to my typing, it says search Google. So that's my designated search engine. That's what I've chosen to be my search engine. Now we're going to be in and out of the preferences today, but I want to start off just showing you this. I'm going to go up to the Safari menu and come down to preferences. And then if I go to the search tab right here, right, this right here is the search engine choice, and I can choose which search engine I want. It doesn't have to be Google. If I prefer Yahoo or Bing, or a lot of people like DuckDuckGo, if you don't know what that is, that's actually a search engine that promises to keep your information private. They don't track you. They don't anything the way Google and Yahoo and all those other guys do as far as tracking where you go and aggregating that information anonymously to send out to other people. Okay, and so just know in preferences, you can decide on which search engine you want. I happen to like Google as the search engine, so I leave that there with Google. So that's the Omnibar across the top. Now, a couple more things that show up in the Omnibar. First is this little reload this page symbol. It's like a little circle with a little arrow, and that just means reload the page, right? I want to see the page again, but maybe what's on the server is different from what's on my screen. Maybe that somebody changed something or edited something. This can be really important, like when you're on news websites, so if I go to CNN.com or anything like that, WashingtonPost.com, they may have new articles popping up every 30 seconds or a couple minutes. And so if I want to kind of see, well, what's new on this page right now, that's going to be called a reload. And I'm going to come here and click the reload this page button and have it come back in so I can see, is there new material or is there not new material? Now, let me find a nondescript news article. It's always bad news, so I got to watch out what I click on when I go in here. There we go, stunning Scottishman. I want you to notice that the way this came up is a little bit different, and the reason is the other symbol that we see up here in the Omnibar is this little symbol right here, which is the reader mode. And so if I unclick that, I'm now actually on the website and I see the article the way I kind of expect to see it. I'm just scrolling down using my mouse and one finger up and down on the mouse to scroll if you have a magic mouse, 2 fingers on a trackpad if you have a trackpad, right? But you notice I still have the header and the menu, and I've got some ads and stuff like that. What reader mode allows me to do is just see the good parts, right? So now I can really change this to just the title, the call out of who wrote it and the article itself. And I've now gotten rid of all that noise around the website. That's reader mode. And that's really one of my favorite things, especially for blog articles and news articles. And so that's right here in the Omnibar, and we can just turn that on and off. Now, you noticed it automatically happened for me when I came here. A little bit later in settings, we're going to show you where to control that, where you can say, this website I want it to load automatically in reader mode, where this other website I don't want it to. So you actually have granular control over which website does what. The next little symbol we have in the Omnibar is this guy right here, is this little plus sign. And you notice when I put my cursor over it, the middle of the Omnibar says, add page to reading list. Okay, and we're going to define reading list as opposed to bookmark list, right? And so that's a concept that we want to make sure is distinguished, and we're going to go over how to do these things in a minute. Right now, I'm just going to define them. If you want to bookmark a website, that just means I want to keep that link, and I want to put it in my bookmark, either my bookmark menu or maybe in my favorites list, so I can get back to that website or that blog article quick and easy by looking at it in that bookmark menu or in the favorites area if it's something you go to more recently. The reader list is a little bit different because if you add it to the reading list, it actually downloads a copy of that article onto your hard drive, syncs it if you're using iCloud, syncs it between all your devices, and you can actually read that article while you're offline. So even if you're not on the internet, you can still go to your reading list. And I love doing this where I'll like throw blog articles on my reading list while I'm on my laptop. And then later at night, I'll pull my iPad out and go to my reading list to actually read them. So I'm on the nice light readable iPad when I'm actually doing the reading. Okay. And so just know that you can add things to your reading list. And then after you read them, they are marked red and they drop off of that reading list. So that's a really nice feature. And we're going to kind of go over that a little bit later, where to find the reading list and how to manage the reading list. But just know that that's what this button is right here in the Omnibar. Now, next to the Omnibar, just to give a quick tour of what else is on the toolbar across the top, I'm going to start up on the top right hand over here. And I'm going to point out this little square and a square. This is show the tab overview. And so if I click on here, I'll see if I have multiple tabs open. A tab just means a second website, right? And so we can have tabs across the top of our web browser and go to different web tabs. And so I happen to have a Facebook tab open, and a Sauna tab open. There's my CNN tab, and a big plus sign to add new tabs. We're going to get back to how to deal with all that stuff. This is just a quick little tour of the interface. Along the bottom, you also notice it refers out to my other devices, my iPhone 12 Pro, my iPad Pro. This is actually cross-referencing what tabs or websites I have open on my other devices. This is called the iCloud tabs, and we're going to come back and show you all about that later too. One of my favorite features. I love the iCloud tabs. Okay, I'm going to click up here to close that or get back out of it, but what I could have done is just clicked on the website I wanted to go back to and get back to it. Okay, the plus sign up here, that is add a new tab, right? Create a new tab so that I can have more than one website open. And now we'll notice here I've got one tab, and here I have a second tab. And so that's just, the plus sign is to add a new tab, and now I can go to a second website, but not lose track of that first website. I can switch back and forth. Next little symbol right here is the share symbol. This is everywhere now in the Apple world, on your iPhone, your iPad, your laptop. It's just everywhere. Anywhere you can share a photo, share a website, share anything. So if we click that share tab, we get options like add this to my reading list, add it to my bookmarks area, email this page to somebody. That's great, that integration between Safari and email, where if I say email this page, it's just going to open up Mail and create a new email and attach it to it. Text message it out, airdrop it. If I'm on this local network with another device, I could airdrop it from here to my iPhone or my iPad if I wanted to. I want to take a note about it or add it to my reminders. Remember to check it out. Okay, so these are great options for sharing. Over here on the left side of the Omnibar, we're going across the toolbar from right to left. This is a new thing in Safari that I think a lot of people are really going to like. It's called the Show the Privacy Report for this website. Apple's really come out strong for security and privacy and helping you navigate the internet without feeling like you're being taken advantage of all the time. And you've seen Facebook has really gone after them for this. Mark Zuckerberg is saying terrible things about Apple because it does challenge their business model, right? They make their money by cross-referencing your internet behavior and then selling advertising on Facebook. So like if you go to this website, when you go back to Facebook, you'll see an ad for them, right? Well, that's kind of that back end of the what's called the Facebook pixel, letting them know where you've been so they can send those ads your way. Apple is cutting that off, saying we're not going to allow that anymore. You can't track people when they're not on your website, right? That's not okay with Apple. And so they're kind of trimming that out, and there's a big battle brewing about it. But one of the things Apple's done to make sure that we see this is this little privacy area. And it says, CNN.com, 43 trackers were prevented from profiling me. That's exactly how many things are on the CNN page that would like to track my movements and report it back to who knows who, right? Now, I can click right here and see what those trackers are, right? And so here's actually a list of the things that have gotten blocked: advertising.com, Amazon ad system, right? A whole bunch of different stuff that CNN has partnered with. There's the Facebook.net one, or the Google AdWords, Google Analytics, things like that. Okay, and so this is kind of a cool thing that you can actually see who's trying to track you and be aware that Apple's trying to protect you from that. We've got a little eye right here, which is the information. And if I click that little eye, this pops up into a much bigger report for me that gives me all sorts of information. Safari prevents trackers from following you across websites. Show me more about that. Websites that contacted trackers, 71% of websites do it. Right? Most contacted trackers, doubleclick.net. Right? Here are the websites that I've been on that have trackers on them. And here are the trackers that are seen on those websites. So if you like that sort of stuff and you really kind of want to know what's happening to you and or what is Apple preventing from happening to you, I think this is really a great report for you to know. I'm going to pause real quick. I'm just looking over at the chat. I see Carol said, where did you go to search instead of Google? Just to recap that, I had gone to the Safari menu, I went down to Preferences, and I went to the Search area. This is where I can tell my browser, my Safari browser, what I want my default search engine to be. If I don't want it to be Google, I could choose DuckDuckGo or Bing or whatever's in this list. So again, that's in the Preferences under Search. Getting back to my toolbar. So the privacy is really a kind of a cool new thing, the privacy report. This next one you probably don't have. This is my 1Password. This is my my password vault, which has got a plug-in here for Safari, but we're going to be talking about the keychain here in a little bit. So that's what Safari provides natively from Apple, is willing to put passwords in your keychain for you. And so we'll get back to that, but just know that, you know, this is just a second password vault that works kind of like the keychain does. Next on our Toolbar Tour, we have the show previous page and go back to the next page. And so if I click this, it's literally going to go back to where I came from. And now I can go forward because I'm not as far forward in my history. Now for history, we have history up here in the menu, and we can always click there and kind of get a list of every place we've been, right, in this session or maybe earlier today or yesterday, right? And so that's the history that we're going to be going through. And so I can just keep hitting back, and go farther back into history until I get where I want to be, or here I can go forward. Now, this is not like take me to the next level or take me back from this level of a hierarchy. This is chronological. Take me back in the history of my browsing, take me forward in the history of my browsing. So just be aware of that. This next little symbol right here is show the sidebar, and it's really as simple as click it and it opens up and shows us the sidebar. Click it again and it closes it. We refer to that as a drawer. So we say open the drawer and close the drawer. And inside the drawer, just real quick, you'll notice these sunglasses, these little glasses mean I'm actually in the reading list right now. So these are things I've put on my reading list. And if I click over here on the little book, now this is going to show me my bookmarks. And here are my favorites. And if I collapse that, here's my bookmark menu. So again, we're going to come back to that, but I just want you to know that this sidebar is a quick and easy way to get to those bookmarks, whether they're favorites or bookmark menu. And so that's opening and closing that side drawer. So that's our tour of the toolbar, and specifically some things to know about the Omnibar. And that's not relatively new. I mean, God, it's probably like 7 years old because I'm showing my age. We used to have a search field and a type in a website field, and they combined them, and that's when they called it the Omnibar. So now it does both. But if you are old school, you'll probably remember when we actually had a search field over to the far right, and then we had where you could type in the website, and they've combined those two. Sometimes that confuses people. That's why I like to make sure we clarify that. So next, let's talk about the start page. This is, and I'm going to say relatively new too, because this is only about 2 versions old. I believe I mean, it's older, but they didn't start forcing you to this start page until I believe right before Catalina. So it would have been like High Sierra, High Sierra, or so. Now to control your home page, I'm going to go back up into my Safari menu and go down here to Preferences. And just show you on the General tab right here, I've got an option that says, when I open Safari, open with what? All the windows from the last session or all non-private windows from the last session? When I open a new window, where do I want to start? On the start page? I want to define a home page for myself. I want it to be on an empty page, right? So again, we can control where, when we first open a Safari window, where we go. Okay, but the start page is really cool once you get to know it. It's a little shocking to people at first. They're not used to it, but once you get used to it, you can totally do that. Also here, when I open a new tab, does that go to the start page or does it go to the same page or an empty page? And here I can define my home page, right? And so if I want to say, hey, open a new tab on my home page, or I want to open a new window on my home page, this is where I can define where that is. And that could be Google. It could be your company's website. It could be, you know, maybe a news organization. You just always want to go. I know a lot of people get their news from that Yahoo homepage because they can customize it. So they make that their homepage. That's where they start. And a really cool button right here is set to current page. Now, I'm not on a web page right now. So if I were to actually go to a website and then come back to this area in preferences, now I could say, hey, set this as set the current page to be my home page. And now that just pulls whatever page I'm on in to be my home page. So this is how we control what happens when we first open either a Safari window or when we open a Safari tab. I like the start page. So let's go take a look at that and make sure we know what's going on with the start page.